Yeah.
Buckle up, everyone, and welcome to Carpool Rugby League, a show where two rugby league tragics talk everything rugby league on their way to or from work. I'm Graham.
And I'm Shane.
Welcome aboard and on with the show. Well, Shane, big round this weekend, I think, for a lot of teams. There's also some big news coming out of the NRL today, particularly Penrith. We've got Origin teams being announced very soon. Lots to talk about in today's episode.
It's a big episode, round 11. DWZ granted a release to negotiate with clubs. Interestingly enough, during the week, this all came about that this could be happening. Looks like he was going to go to Para. He still could go as Para. In the last probably hour and a half, 2 hours, South Sydney's been thrown up as a possible club.
They're looking for an outside back.
They're looking for an outside back. He's looking for a club. I don't know whether he'd get longevity at South where he might get it at Parramatta. Indigenous round. I love Indigenous round. I love the Indigenous jerseys. I think they're phenomenal. At the moment, the NRL has pictures of Indigenous players, and they're just great. I love this round. I think highlighting not only the traditional custodians of this land, but Aboriginal players that are past and present that really have. They not only have set our game alight, but they've established what rugby league is. And people talk about, look at Eric Sims, Indigenous player. He changed the point system. There's a reason why field goals aren't worth 2 anymore.
Yep.
Because he was kicking 12 a game.
Yep.
Actually, I think the most he ever kicked was 11. But you get what I mean.
You're making the point. There's a message there. Arthur Beetson. Yeah, he revolutionised what it was to be a forward that could play. There could be a ball playing forward. He was the first one to do that. I love the Indigenous jerseys. South Sydney's, St George's is brilliant. Cliffy Lions on Manly's. I also really appreciate. Look, we're fobs. We're not Indigenous, but I really appreciate what the Warriors have done with their Indigenous jersey, with Maori symbols on it. You go on the grey and the blue.
Grey and the blue.
It's a very nice strip.
It is a nice strip. Oh, they're all nice strips. I reckon if you're a fan, you jump on the Indigenous jersey. I think they're a great outfit.
Yeah, the St George one with the black background, very neat.
It's great. South Sydney's. You've got I like Penrith one.
Yep.
Representing obviously the Darug and Gundagara nations. You've got, I tell you one, the Knights one as well. The Knights one, wow! I don't know who did the artwork for the Knights one. Holy cow!
A lot happening there, which is
great
really good
jersey.
To see.
Great jersey. Yep. I think it's a great thing for our game. I really do. I we've embraced Anzac round. This is the round we should be embracing, and we should be really jumping on this. I've had discussions with people in the past. This should be a real standalone round where we really highlight
the Anzac round. Have that sort of feel.
Definitely, and you look at what it's not only about Indigenous players, it's the Indigenous community as a whole. Like I said, Graham and I, we're not
European descent.
We're European descent. We are fobs. We're pretty much just arrived, but we're blessed to be here in Australia and to be a part of a nation where I'm living for 40,000 years, people have walked. Well, that's that's something that should be acknowledged.
Should be celebrated.
And another thing, I was looking at the faces on the NRL. Website through Facebook. We might actually share them because they are great. If you're one of these tools that want to laugh at it or write something derogatory or negative, can you just go away? Like, seriously, leave the country. Go somewhere else. I don't know what more I can say about that because,
we're about inclusion.
You're a joke. This is a family-friendly show and I can't swear, but
I
almost feel like swearing.
Probably not worth giving them much more airtime.
No. Indigenous round then rolls into selections for the Origin. It would be remiss of us not to start talking about Origin. A lot of stuff has been talked about during the week. A lot of stuff has been put out there. It's amazing. I'm almost speechless at the amount of stuff you read. That
varying opinions. I think sometimes.
The Cleary one is one where
there are still people that are suggesting that Nathan Cleary, and we've made it clear on the podcast here that we want to see representing our state players who are in form, and
I'll just put it out there. We're both wearing blue at the moment. That's how passionate we are about this.
Yeah, so we're going to talk a lot. If you're a Queenslander, you're probably
switch off now and then turn back on about maybe half an hour.
But you might enjoy hearing a couple of New South Welshmen squirm and whinge about the team. I think we need to pick informed players. I think if you're still thinking that we can build this team around Nathan Cleary in the form he's in now, I think you're going to get it wrong. I know we often say let's build towards the future. I want to win this series, and I think we pick a team that will get us this series.
Most definitely.
Rather than worrying about where we're going to be in 3 years.
The latest news coming out is that basically Fittler has this agreement with Gus Gould that Cleary's in. Now I'm thinking, hang on, what's going on there? I supported you when you walked barefoot on grass, and I'm a big fan of yoga. But for crying out loud, surely you can't say to Gus, I promised to pick him, and that works.
That's like, signing your kid up for school at the start of the year and having a handshake and a fiver to get them an A.
Yeah, they've got to show
it's unethical.
Work. They've got to show the work.
It's unethical, mate.
I just really, I'm a bit bewildered. Interestingly enough, that I think the forward pack is wide open. I really.
Well, did you want to have a look, like if we go sort of position by position, maybe through the team, and we'll give some of the possible contenders.
See what you think at home. See if you agree, disagree in your car. We are in the carpool studios.
We're in the studios tonight. Yep. We didn't get a chance to carpool today, so we are in the studios. Look, we'll start off with the Blues fullback position.
James Tedesco.
Yeah, that's okay. We'll move on now.
Itself.
But yeah, James Tedesco's got to be there, even though you've got some other players who, that may be informed. This was never a discussion. James Tedesco will be there. He's your Blues fullback for sure. When we're talking about the wingers, I think in regards to, say for argument's sake, left wing, Josh Addo-Carr.
Yep.
I think is...
you can't go past Josh Addo-Carr.
You can't really go past Addo-Carr for one of the wing spots. If you're looking at the other wing spot, if you want to have someone over the other side...
how about the bolter? The new bolter that's come up within the last 24 hours that apparently Freddie's hot on. Campbell Graham.
Yeah, well, Freddie, if he's going to talk about young players in form and building to the future... He's a great prospect. He'll be there one day. I don't think he'll be there this year. I wouldn't pick him.
Here's a question.
But
if you're a South fan and he goes in as 18th man, would you be happy?
Happy for him that he's playing, but would he still be able to play for South on the weekend?
Well,
I think that's what their main concern would be.
Yeah.
Because they'd already be losing about half a dozen players.
Yeah.
They may not want to lose another one. But I think anyone who's in that community would be proud of him.
At the moment, my pick's Blake Ferguson.
I'm picking Ferguson as well.
My pick's Blake Ferguson.
I think someone who, as you said, if you're talking about someone to be in the squad...
Nick Cotric, close second.
That's what I was going to say. If you're going to pick someone, say, to come in, and he's done it before, just be the 18th man, warm up, get a bit of experience, be a part of it, I think that's your Nick Cotric. I think Nick Cotric's the next one off the production line there.
Is Campbell Graham's name getting thrown up? And from all accounts, Freddie said he's very keen on him. Is that pretty much open license? That's the wrong term to use. Is that pretty much saying that Walker's going to be 5'8"? And maybe having a South Sydney...
I don't think so.
To be honest, knows how to find the line.
Yeah, I understand that. Look, I don't necessarily think that may be the case. I think it's... You look at South Sydney, they're 9-1.
They haven't lost in 80 minutes.
Yeah, so if you're a team that's 9-1, and most people in the team are performing well, they're going to be in some sort of chat to be in that Origin team.
Of course.
They're going to be in some sort of chat.
Look,
I think there are players ahead of him. South have a really good year this year. He scores a lot of tries. They have a good year next year. This time next year, I think we could be talking about him because I don't think we're going to... Blake Ferguson's getting that year older. I think Josh Addo-Carr's going to be a mainstay in that team. I think he's going to be a mainstay. And but yeah,
Tigers fans
we've talked about
he was being a mainstay.
We've talked about players in the past like Jack Bird, Josh Dugan, and we said, wow, we couldn't see anyone else coming in for these players.
Yeah.
And
here's the thing:
the year's a very long time in footy.
I can't find a spot for Josh Dugan.
I can't.
I'm about to pick Latrell Mitchell at centre.
Latrell Mitchell's left centre.
Yeah.
Latrell Mitchell is one of the centres, and that combination with Tedesco at the back, and I know I'm giving away here a little bit. Not necessarily my team. I feel like Keary's going to be in the starting halves. So that connection there with Latrell Mitchell. Yeah. The right centre position, though, I think this is one of the most hotly contested spots. We talked briefly the other day about James Roberts. I thought it was interesting too. I didn't mention it on the previous podcast, but I think it was on the weekend on Triple M. Gordon Tallis actually gave his opinion on the situation at Brisbane, and he basically...
Of course he would.
Well,
it wouldn't be a Queenslander without having some opinion on the Blues side.
Well, it wasn't necessarily on the Blues side. I probably led you down the wrong path there. It was about James Roberts and what's happening at Brisbane, and I was actually very surprised to hear what he said. His opinion of the situation was that James Roberts should be in the Brisbane team, and they're just making it hard for him. And from his point of view, he thinks that they're hoping that he basically quits and leaves so they don't have to pay him out. That was his summation of the situation.
Well, they got 2 rounds to make it happen.
Well, yeah, and that's true. And look, it just puts him in a really tough spot. I can't see him getting picked for Origin from reserve grade. I wouldn't be surprised if Jesse Ramian gets this right centre spot.
I'd like to see it.
And if it's not Jesse Ramian, I feel like it might be someone from Canberra. The Bolters Whiten. A lot of people are calling for Croker. I know you're a fan of Croker.
Look, you know what? I think sometimes in a very flashy side, you need a couple of meat and potato guys. Mitch Orbison is a meat and potato guy.
Yeah, Mitch Orbison's also versatile. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I know.
Like if you're gonna say, all right, let's pick. I can't say to pick Cleary. So let's say we pick Reynolds and Keary,
for argument's sake,
and we put Walker on the bench.
Yeah, which I think is what they'll do.
Orbison's a perfect fit there.
Orbison also allows you a back rower if you want.
That's what I'm saying.
If you're going with that back, in Origin, both teams, New South Wales and Queensland, in recent years, they have liked having a bit of that utility on the bench. Because if Cody Walker had to come on and play hooker, so what? He'd come on and do a job. If he had to fill in the back line, he could. They'd probably... And that's where you're saying, say, if they had a Mitch Orbison and they had an injury in the forwards, does Mitch Orbison go to the back row? Cody Walker come into the back line?
We forget something here. Luke Keary, when he started at South, he got his break at number 9.
He was coming off the bench
for a lot of the break for the number 9.
Well, yeah, people forget that year that they won the grand final, John Sutton played 5'8" for the majority of that year. It wasn't until about the last 6 weeks that he was...
So you've also got an opportunity here where you say, okay, 10 minutes before half time,
Keary to 9,
Walker on,
playing
Cook,
with...
Give Cook a break.
Walker's on.
Walker's on. Give me my job back for those 12th man fans. You've got then Walker, Reynolds, Cook can have a spell if he needs to.
Yeah, that's it, and that's the thing too. Like people will say, especially with the hookers, like Cook's an 80-minute player, But Origin's
an insane. Origin is insane.
It's a different ball of wax. Like, it's so fast. It's
freaking insane to be in the stands. I don't know what it would be like in the ground.
It'd be very fast playing that game and take a fair bit out of you. So, look, I'll give the centre spot to Ramian. He can have it.
Yep.
He can have it. That'll be a bit of excitement for the fans of Newcastle. Now, halves. Up until probably a week or two ago, I had my halves. I had Walker at 5'8" and Keary at half.
Yeah, I've almost sold on that.
Now, that would mean for me, if they ended up going with that bench utility, they might be, say, Whiten on the bench.
Yeah.
Now, when I stripped it back and said, okay, out of these three players, if I'd have three players, bang for buck, I'd rather have Reynolds in the team than Whiten.
I did the same.
I'm going to go Keary, Reynolds, and we'll put Walker on.
Yeah, I'm the 14. Same. I'm the same. I really do think, though, if you're going to have Walker in the side, you got to give him minutes.
And I think he will. And I think they'll do what you said. I think Luke Keary will play a bit of hooker to give Damien Cook a rest. Because I really think that at some stage in this first Origin game, they'll want to see Walker and Reynolds put together what they've been doing for South this year. Not play that traditional left... Well, I say traditional. It's not really traditional. They've gone more to a traditional halves combination. In recent years, over the past 10, 20 years, they've really simplified the halves and had left side, right side. When you're playing against South...
That really came out of the old... I'll tell you a team that used to do that well was Newcastle. The Johns brothers used to go on either side. And that was the thing. They did that as a surprise. It was a surprise tactic, isn't it?
But now, it's a surprise tactic to have both players on the... That try they scored... Hiroti scored to win the game.
You look at
they stacked that right-hand side. It was a first receiver, second receiver, created the extra man, put the winger in.
But the way Reynolds held the ball and ran at the line...
Those options. I'll tell you what's getting him into this side.
I haven't seen Cleary do that.
He's not taking on the line. Adam Reynolds this year, the new thing in his repertoire, he takes the line on. He has been tackled, I reckon, more in the first 10 rounds this year than he probably has in the past 5 years.
We've seen it in his stats. The amount of meters he makes per game is far above and beyond what he's used to.
Yeah.
So I think what a part of me says, if you look at the statistics of it, it'll be Reynolds, Walker, Cook, because that is a combination that seems to score tries. I think bang for buck, you'd go for Luke Keary, Adam Reynolds. Interestingly enough, I read Gaz. Gaz has Cleary there. Yeah, Mark Gasnier.
Mark Gasnier in his team. I was just to compare it to another commentator. That Mark Gasnier's New South Wales Blues, he has not included Reynolds or Walker. Neither of the halves. So he's basically said for his New South... And this is where we've got to be realistic about it.
But look, to be fair, mate...
The rest of his team's very similar to what we're going to pick.
He loves digging the boot into South. Like you watch him on the TV. Like even when South won the comp, it was like bless you, bro.
Thank you.
He's been rubbing his nose. The poor bugger. He's got a bit of sinus, I think. Yeah. Look. Forget Gaz's team.
No, I'm just saying, for example.
I know. I saw Gaz's team.
He's played more NRL games than both of us combined.
Most definitely. And he's played Origin.
He could have played one game and he's played more.
He's played Origin.
That's what I'm saying.
The difference is...
That's why I said we can't assume that the team that everyone thinks is going to get picked will get picked.
But that's the thinking that lost us 9 in a row.
Yeah.
This is the problem. We go, we'll pick this, we'll do this, we'll do this. No. That's the same thinking where 9 in a row...
Yeah.
Ducking!
But do you know the other thing is too? I hear a lot of people say, well, Queensland had the same team for a long time. Yeah, because they were winning. They were in form.
Hang on. All right. Billy Slater. Yeah, I'll pick him. Cameron Smith. Pick him. Lockyer. What was their spine? Lockyer, Cronk, Smith, Slater.
Yeah,
Inglis. Thurston. Like, do you want me to keep going?
Like when you had Matt Scott.
Thaiday. Matt Scott.
When they were in form, yep.
Shane Webke.
Oh, yeah, even going back to the...
far out. Yeah, come on.
They had a great period.
Like, seriously.
Well, I think we've got a team we could build something like that.
Seriously have to keep going. And they go, they have a pick and stick method. Because they're freaking awesome.
Yeah, so what we need to do is, if the players are in form, you pick them, okay?
Look, that's what we forget. That won the Blues the game last year.
Yeah.
Form. Because they weren't picking Cook. And Cook got to the point where you had to pick him.
And I think Cody Walker's getting to that point now.
Form wins matches.
I'll tell you another player who's in form and who's going to be my lock is Jake Trbojevic.
Oh, done.
He's locking the scrum.
I will say this.
There are some other good players who will make up the bench.
I think in the bench, Cameron Murray.
Yep.
Is on my bench.
Yeah, I got Murray on the bench too.
Victor Radley as well. I like Victor Radley. I like him. He is a good player.
Yep. I don't know if I'd have room for him. I'd have to see with my bench when I get there and count how many players I've got left. Hookers, so we've got Lock, we go Trbojevic. I know this is a bit out of order, but it's just so that we can get the key positions. Hooker is going to be Damien Cook.
Forget it.
There's no issues there. In regards to back rowers, I think Cordner, obviously, is going to be one you put in. For me, if I've got my lock is Trbojevic, I've got Cordner as one back rower. My other one is going to be Tyson Frizzell.
Yeah.
Yep.
Look, in a losing side, he was really good.
Yeah.
And he has been.
Bookends. Paul Vaughan's the first one picked.
Yep.
Closely followed by Clemmer.
Yep. Done.
I'm actually...
No questions there.
Look, in regards to the bench, as I said, if I've got Keary and Reynolds as the halves...
I've got Cody Walker in.
Walker's got to be on my bench.
Yep.
Which means, 3 spots then for forwards?
Mm-hmm.
You would have Cam Murray. We've already said we want Cam Murray.
I've got Cam Murray. I've got...
Do you have room for... Well, you've got Radley. Would you have Radley over Crichton?
Yep.
And do you go then one prop? You go run out of big
something highly controversial here, and it pains me to say it, but
I thought you were going to say Payne Haas.
No.
Is that going to be a bit
Payne
of a...
Haas is
Does that pain you to say that?
I think Lodge. He's just defensively, he makes tackles.
Yeah.
You don't want a guy to come on.
I think someone like... Look,
hardest thing... I'll tell you what. Murray's in. Murray's in for me. Radley, I could drop.
If you've got Walker, Murray...
Yeah. I'd probably have Haas.
Payne Haas. Pengai Jr. Has James Tarmo, I don't know, has done enough. Jordan McLean
Jordan McLean would be a great pick, actually. I think Pryor's gone off the boil. He's gone off the boil.
Yeah. Regan Campbell-Gillard's struggling enough to get in the Penrith team.
Look,
I would not be surprised if we end up with Payne Haas and Pengai Jr. Depending on what they decide to go with. I think Jordan McLean's got to be in there.
He's a better player for me than those two.
Jordan McLean's in there. I think... How many? Let's see, I've got about a 7-man bench now. All right, so I'll decide. My bench is going to be Walker, Murray, McLean,
Haas.
Yeah, Haas. I wouldn't stress.
You know what? Haas. What we forget.
Or Pengai Jr.
No. This is why this is why I wouldn't choose Pengai Jr. Payne Haas has been solid all year. Pengai Jr. has been the yo-yo in the Brisbane team.
Yeah. I think either of those...
He's showy. He's flashy. Don't get me wrong.
I think either of those players...
I think...
With a forward pack around him that's performing and going well...
Payne Haas is a more solid rugby league player for me.
Yeah. Oh, I'll give him a go. All right, so there's our take on the Origin team for the Blues.
Jeez. bring on game one.
Yeah, so there's a few players there.
By our summation.
I feel like Crichton may
by our summation,
get a spot, but
Crichton probably should. By our summation, I think now you've got to talk about teams that are going to be heavily hit. South Sydney, they play Para. Roosters.
So they'll have the bye next week. Let me just double check on round 12. The Roosters have the bye. The Storm, the Broncos, Knights, St George, West, Sharks, and the Warriors all have it. This is a round 12 bye, so not this week, but the week after. So teams that are going to be ahead. When you look at the teams that are actually
South is
playing,
the only one really
affected. Really heavily affected.
Yeah, if they pick what we say. At the end of the day, South Sydney could be going into game against Para with both their halves.
They could be. They could be missing. Yeah, I mean, they'll be missing.
Cam Murray doesn't get picked. I'm not here.
I don't know what he'd have to do to get picked. He'd fair dinkum have to. I don't know. How do you. He
can run and tackle. That's pretty much.
No, he can do more than that. He's
brilliant.
Very good.
He's got great footwork at the line.
Yep.
Anyway, let's talk about the week ahead.
All right, we'll talk about the NRL. The first game we've got will be
local derby.
Yeah, as we're recording this, will be tomorrow night. So we're recording this on the Wednesday. The Thursday game at Bankwest Stadium will be the Parramatta Eels taking on
Rugby-League.
The Panthers. Now, this has become a little bit of a fortress, hasn't it, for the Eels since they've moved back there. There's something special about that soil at Parramatta when
Cumberland Oval. It's got the ashes of the burnt stadium.
The ashes of the burnt stadium.
Yeah, when they won the grand final, they burnt the stadium down.
What's that in the 19?
Cumberland Oval. Yeah, they did. Didn't you know that? Oh shit!
What year would that have been?
YouTube it. Yeah.
Roll it up.
Yeah. When they won.
Showing your age there.
Yeah, no.
Do you remember a Para grand final?
Yeah.
Mate, you are showing your age.
Yeah, when I was a kid, they were great.
They won. When's the last time they won the grand final? 86?
86.
Yeah, I was born 87.
I wasn't. Born a bit before that.
Okay.
I went to the finals in 86. I actually saw the Doggies versus South.
There you go.
Dogs smashed South Sydney.
Good on the Dogs.
Yeah.
So in regards to this game, Parramatta, there are a few changes just in regards to their lineup. Takarangi, Alvaro, they've been put back to the interchange bench. Tim Manners back in the starting lineup. Sivo's back in the starting lineup. Blake Ferguson named in the centres. That's interesting. So got George Jennings. He's just moving from one side of the field to the other. Bit of a blow, I think, with Moroa. He's missing a week due to concussion.
Yeah.
Gower's coming onto the bench. Bevan French and Kafusi, they were the players that dropped out of the squad 24 hours beforehand. So that will be interesting to see how they go. A little bit of a shuffle there. Penrith, as you could imagine, they're trying to change things around just to find some form.
Mate, the only way they could change things around is if they started like this. Barwick, Mackay, Fittler, Bentley, Smith, Carter, Greg Alexander, Clark, Simmons, Dunn, Geyer. I'm just yelling out the 91 team.
Yeah, they were a good side.
They were a good side.
Yeah.
Look, I look at what they've done this week, Penrith, as their ins and outs and looking at their side. It feels to me like they're a team clutching... Okay, they're coming last. Of course you're clutching at straws. It just feels to me like they're a team really clutching at straws now.
Well, I think the biggest challenge here, if I'll go through some of the main changes, I think the biggest challenge is going to be... not that their halves were setting the world on fire anyway, but they are missing James Maloney. Jerome Luai, as you would expect, is the player to come in. Big opportunity for him. Because if they're fair dinkum... And he has a great game.
If he has a great game, Maloney... If he has a great game, I reckon Maloney's in England next week.
Yeah. Well, Dallin Martinez-Lesniak, as you could imagine, he's
DWZ.
he's not going to be playing. So Brian Toe's going to go over to the left wing. Josh Mansell's on the right wing. Regan Campbell-Gillard, he's actually back as the starting prop. Fisher Harris is going to move from back row to lock. Grant and Martin on the bench. I don't mind those moves either.
What I don't get is, okay, if you look at their list, and I know we're concentrating on Penrith here. Look, I'll say this, Para fans. 1 to 17, solid. Tepe Moroa not playing, unfortunately. It's going to take a miracle for you not to win by 100.
When I look at the Penrith team
Let's
list...
leave it at that, Para fans.
The Para... Just for me to just comment on the Para team list, as you said there. You go through the list... they've got, as you said, 117 are first-grade players. And some of them are in really good form. This is an opportunity for them to really bounce back, because I've called Para the yo-yo team this year. They'll be up, they'll be down, they'll be up, then they're down. When they're up, they're sky high. And I think that this is... Look, has Penrith gotten to the point where they're still going, let's turn this around, or are they at the point where they go, we're busted, we're done.
But I'll say this, right, for Penrith fans, and correct me if I'm wrong, right, if you go to 1 to 5, we've got Edwards, Mansour, Farah, Blake, Toe,
Luo.
Okay, that's 1 to 5.
Oh, sorry, 1 to 5.
That is nothing like what we ran out last week. And yet, if you're a Penrith fan, you're going, 1 to 5, where's DWZ must be injured. If that was round 1 team, you wouldn't question it. Yeah, you'd actually say it's the solid side, except for DWZ who must be injured.
Yeah.
And yet we're looking at this team this week and we're going, what a surprise.
Yeah, and the thing is too, with this matchup, the weaknesses we've seen over the past few weeks with Parramatta haven't really played to the Panthers' strengths. So even though Para's defence has been a bit poor, Penrith are struggling to score points.
Penrith's attack... 20. Okay, so statistically, Penrith are getting to the 20 just as much as they have in the last year. Yeah. Last year they did the same. Getting the ball over the line, they're my poo-in boots.
Yeah. Yeah, finishing,
they're my poo-in boots. And look, that's no disrespect, but I'm saying this, okay, they're actually the worst in the league at doing this. When you come down to being in your 20, the 2 plays you look at are your halves. And yet we want to pick one of them for Origin.
They've got to correct. Well, and the thing is too, I'll be honest with you, this week, Nathan Cleary will still believe that he can make this Origin team. Mark Gasnier believes he can make the Origin team. According to some reports, Phil Gould, Brad Fittler, all these people think that he's a crack. He needs to have an absolute whale of a game. This needs to be one of the best games by a halfback this week.
I'm over it. Like, it's the same. The clutch play where he kicked the field goal. Blah blah blah.
If he did something in the first 80 minutes, he wouldn't have to kick that field goal in extra time. That's the type of stuff that bothers me.
If I have one good game in 6, I'm not getting picked.
No. And there are good players. There are good players in form that are going to miss out on this team.
Here's a question for you, and he's never played reserve grade, Cleary, to my knowledge. If his dad wasn't the coach, would someone have said, go back to reserve grade for a couple of weeks? Just go back, reset yourself. You're not getting dropped. It's just go back and get your game under control. Play a slower brand of football. Remember when Isaac Luke got dropped? He went back, brilliant.
We were talking about
George Boyd-Burgess, brilliant. You look at what Regan Campbell-Gillard did last week.
Yeah.
Brilliant. It's just that slower football where all of a sudden you can reset yourself.
Josh
Reynolds. His dad's not coach. He goes back and resets himself. I think this has been actually to his detriment. It's been absolutely
detrimental to his development. And the thing is too, I don't see them as a resilient side, nor do I see him as a resilient footballer. And I don't think Dad's teaching him much in the way of resiliency and how to bounce back from that by persisting. But what do we know? People are calling for him to play Origin. We're not even. We're calling for him to be dropped.
We are 2 punters with a podcast.
But they'll let anyone have a say these days. But the thing is, people are probably listening to us going, "You're mad. He's in my Origin team." So people,
good on you.
Yeah, half your luck. But I tell you what,
good on you.
I'm a massive Blues fan. I don't want him anywhere near the side.
Moving on.
Para to win.
Para.
I think Para will have a big game. I reckon they'll pump him. They're my margin.
Para would be
got
upset.
A margin on your tipping comp.
Para would be upset over last week.
Oh yeah, and they bounce back. They do. They've shown they bounce back. Okay, moving on to Friday night's games. The early game we have is going to be at Lotto Land between the Sea Eagles and the Titans. In regards to teams, no team news for Manly, as you would expect. Having won 6 for the last 8 in that ballpark there, you're not going to change much.
They're a juggernaut at the moment.
Shannon Boyd back for the Titans. He's on the bench. I think that's a good inclusion for them. They need something. I don't know if he's going to be the inclusion they need to make enough of a difference. I really like Manly in this one. They're favourites. They deserve to be favourites. They're at home. And I think the Titans are going to struggle a bit.
Titans have shown me nothing. What Manly have done this year is they've picked teams apart that don't play like a team. When teams play individually, I think Trebojevic is just going Origin.
Yeah, Jake. And he's going to look opposite him. He's going to see Dry Arrow. This is a battle. The selling point for this, if you're the marketing gurus trying to sell tickets to this one, is Dry Arrow versus Jake Trebojevic. This is a Origin preview. Both Origin background. I think they'll probably be the locks for their respective teams coming head to head, and they're both in really good form.
I will say this. Quite often, Desi Hasler sides can lose the game they should win by a country mile. They have it in them. This is where I would not take this game lightly if I was the Sea Eagles. You've played some very good football with some key personnel out. This is not the game you want to take lightly.
No. And I think this is an important game for Manly.
Oh, for Manly, this cements them in the 8.
I said this earlier on in the week in our other podcast. They can finish this week in the top 4. A win, and obviously it depends on what Canberra does, but they can possibly finish this week in the top 4. Not only is that a massive feat, considering where we thought Manly were going to be this year, this is a huge feat considering the amount of injuries they've got.
What it does is just say the Storm South Roosters winning puts them in touch with those teams still.
Yes.
If they lose and those other teams go ahead,
yeah, you don't. There's a 4-point gap now between third and fourth. You don't want that to become 6 because it's just really hard to chase down.
Yeah.
I think the race in the top 8 is going to be for that 4th spot and that second crack at the finals. But I actually I see the Sea Eagles winning this one.
You know it's hilarious.
Even though I really like the forward pack from the Titans, I think that Manly's got their number. I really love their forward pack from Manly.
Hilarious though.
What's that?
Is that you look at them on the same points, and yet if I was to say if they were playing each other this week, who would you pick?
If the Raiders were playing the Sea Eagles, you'd probably say that the Raiders have had.
Isn't it funny? Like they are in it up to their neck with the Raiders, and yet it just feels like the Raiders are a country mile ahead of them. Yeah, That's Desi. That is Des to a T. They've got Cliffy on the shirt this week. They are going to win.
Yep. Sea Eagles for me.
Trebojevic, their forwards are just working so well.
We talk about Fanua Blake a lot on the podcast. I don't think he gets enough credit in just the mainstream media. He's not one of those players that's...
No, because he's that mean he's not flashy.
He's not going to sell tickets,
unless you've got got 1,000 LEDs around you and you're flashing while you're running, you don't get talked about.
I love their forward pack. Fanua Blake, Coruscant, Tapau, Joel Thompson, Curtis Sirinen, Jake Trebojevic.
Yeah, I think their forwards are doing it to the point where no matter who your halves were, they're just getting so many metres.
Yep. And to think this year, like you could go back a year or two, to think we haven't even thought about Tyrone Peachey being anywhere near an Origin team or It's just it's just amazing what we're seeing from there.
And yet you look at how there's a centre spot up for grabs. Brian Kelly.
Yeah. So be interesting to see how that all goes.
Coulda, woulda, shoulda, did.
But Manly for mine. I think you'd be a pretty game punter to back the Titans. The second game on Friday. This is going to be.
I'm rubbing my hand. I'm rubbing my hands over this game.
Now, as we often say, we don't advocate betting on here. However, at $2.90, if you're a Newcastle fan and you like a flutter, might be worth a look. However, we don't worry about the odds. All we worry about is the fact that the game's happening up at McDonald Jones Stadium. Now, the interesting thing here, we've got Newcastle coming off a win, Roosters coming off a loss. Newcastle
coming off bag load of win.
Not just one win, but they've actually had a really good run coming into this. As you can imagine, the Knights, they're not going to make too many changes to the side. Connor Watson's been named as the starting 5'8". Last week, Kurt Mann actually started the match. Both of those players got minutes. You'd expect maybe if it worked for them last week, they'll do it again. We've seen a few sides, an hour before kickoff changing teams.
The key return for me is Cordner.
Oh, huge. Yep. Daniel Tupu's back as well. So they're two big inclusions.
Hall to the bench.
Hall's in the reserves. So he's basically he's named in number 19. So if they run out 1 to 17, there's no room for Hall. And
Kenny Dow up against his old club. Cooper Cronk announced
Pearce against his old club.
Mitchell Pearce against his old club.
Cronk's announced his retirement.
Watson.
A lot of
Connor Watson.
Yeah, Connor Watson played for them. Yep. So we've got a few ex Roosters in the Knights team. The other interesting aspect of this is, whilst there are players here that you can say are a lock for Origin, the two players that come to mind are going to come head to head here. Again, another Origin preview just before the teams are announced. The number ones, Kalen Ponga versus James Tedesco. Great battle, great matchup.
It's
a preview for Origin.
I think if you've got anything planned for Friday night, can it.
Ponga versus Tedesco. Cronk versus Pearce. Clemmer versus Maria Hargraves. It's on and on and on.
Can I say this
when Newcastle's in form, they are an awesome side to watch.
Can I say this about the matchup?
They're a
Can I say this about the matchup?
What's that?
I think the interchange for Newcastle is stronger than the Roosters at this point in time.
Yeah, well, we've talked a bit about SASA, Gave, Kurt Mann may well start.
Kurt Mann,
Matautia. Look,
Ten Navano's having a great game, and Mitch Orbison, of course.
Yeah.
Look,
they've got it, but even when you look at the starting forward, so
who do you pick, Gray?
I'm gonna be a bit of a chicken here. I'm taking the safe option. I'm picking the Roosters.
Someone.
You're trying to get.
But no confidence.
Would be surprised.
Look, you know what? It's one of those games where you just want to see a good game of footy, and we might have it.
I'd love the Knights to win this.
It's now announced. It's off his.
Yeah, I understand that, and he's got a bit to a bit of weight off his shoulders. It's been announced. It's all out in the open. I don't see it though as. Look, I may be underestimating here the impact and his connection to the club. I don't see him announcing his retirement and retiring for the Roosters, say, as big as the events surrounding him announcing that he was leaving the Storm.
No.
I don't feel as though it's going to be a big emotional fanfare for him.
No.
I don't think he's built that attachment to the club.
Oh, you ran a premiership with him.
Yeah, okay. He did, but I don't know. But then again, It's hard to understand how anyone would get that attached to the Roosters. That's just me. But look,
Roosters brothers and sisters out there, love you listening to Carpool Rugby League.
It's tongue in cheek. They've got a bit of a reputation, but
look,
they've got a great side.
Game. Look,
they've got a great side. I think they won't want to lose 2 in a row. They're the real deal. Yeah. Roosters will win this. Yeah. That's what I think. Okay. The next match we have will take us on to Saturday. We've got the Raiders at 3 o'clock hosting the Cowboys at GIO Stadium. Raiders coming off a loss, however, it was an unbelievable effort.
Very valiant effort.
Their forwards really stood up against South. I really like
valiant Chargers effort.
So in this game, all the players got through last week's game with South. Joe Tarpanay returns from injury. He's going to come off the bench. Good. So that means Sebastian Chris, he has to fall out of the side. Hampton injured for the Cowboys. That's pretty much the only change.
Someone I
didn't mention. In.
I'll tell you another thing we didn't mention with the Roosters game. I was going to mention it and I forgot. I just want to put it out there. Glasby versus the back rowers.
Yep.
Because that could well also be an origin thing.
Yep. Yeah. Crichton.
Glasby Crichton.
Crichton could be playing for a spot. Yep.
Sorry, I just thought of that then.
No, and just while we're mentioning it with the Cowboys, Granville was successful at Judiciary, so he'll take his spot. It's interesting to see that Josh Maguire this week, he's actually named on the reserves list. Don't know if they expect him to come in, but in this modern day where you got to announce 21 players and you can choose from them, I think that's a maybe just in case situation there. Interesting matchup. I like the way that the Raiders have been playing. Cowboys are coming off a win though. Tough trip down to Canberra.
Can I tell you that the guy for the Cowboys that has stood up is Cahill at fullback.
Yep.
He took control of the game last week where his halves should have.
Kicked that field goal?
Yeah, where his halves should have taken control. He did.
Yep.
I don't think they've got the personnel or the skill to beat Canberra.
Jordan,
I just think Canberra will be hurting after last week, and they'll want to absolutely rip and tear this week.
These are the teams that Canberra should and do beat. One note for the Cowboys, there are a few players there that are going to want to, I suppose, rip in and try and get the, stake their claim for origin. The one that stands out for me, we mentioned before, Jordan McLean. I really like Jordan McLean. I think he's one of the best props that New South Wales have to offer. He's been there before. I think he's got a show against that really strong, young, hungry forward pack from the Raiders who really took it to Sam Burgess last week.
Yep.
Got to show that he's the real deal.
I think Canberra.
Oh, yeah, I'm tipping Canberra. I really like the Canberra team. I think they got a bit... They got their ducks in a row, so to speak. They have stuff organised. It was really on the back of some good defence last week for South that and the goalpost that they didn't end up getting the win in that one. They've got enough strike in that team, even with you got to remember Leilua and Rapinoe are still out, and they're still looking strong.
Rapinoe will come back. Leilua won't.
Yeah, he'll be back.
Bateman.
John Bateman's got to come back into the side. So if Canberra can win with a couple of key players out, they've been performing without them.
I see the winning.
And this will cement them, I feel, this week as that top 4 team. Very interesting matchup here.
This is another one. This is candy of Saturdays. Don't go out on Saturday. Watch this game.
It's a hard one for the tipsters this week. You got the Warriors hosting the Broncos on Saturday.
Mount Smart.
This is at Mount Smart Stadium. So if you're in New Zealand, I'm pretty sure it'll be the 7:30 kickoff. We have it as a 5:30 kickoff here in Sydney for our time. Broncos are coming off the win against the Roosters. Warriors have also hit some form. I think as the week has gone on, I've changed my tip about 5 or 6 times as to who's going to win this. The fact that's pulling me towards the Warriors is that it's at home. But if the Broncos play like they did the other day,
this is a flipper coin.
Hard to go past.
This is a flipper coin. It's in
New Zealand.
New Zealand. Sorry, it's in the Warriors. In New Zealand. Cody Nicarima's got a lot to prove against his old club.
He's going to be. If this was a feature film,
looking at the side. Interestingly, looking at the team list. James Roberts put on the reserves.
We had that a couple of weeks ago,
which
and he
of course
actually played.
I think he's. It's just there.
I think they play him this week. I think against a team like the Warriors, you're looking for strike out wide. You're looking for a bit of footwork to get around the big fellas.
I think they're looking for speed.
This is the opponent that would suit his style of game.
Two of us is Sheck though.
Yeah, he's in great form. Look, with the Warriors, the main difference is Ignatius Parsi. He's suspended. Afoa's going to start, so we've got Bunty in the side. Adam Blair recalled to the bench.
I don't mind that.
He's had his time. We called for him to be.
He should have been punted. He should have been.
And now he's back. He's got an opportunity.
Now.
They've been playing well without him.
Do you know what? I'd be saying to him, "This is your opportunity due to suspension.
Yeah.
You don't play well this week. This could be your career."
Yeah. Look, we've talked about matchups a lot, and I think probably one of the key matchups we're going to see here is going to involve Cody Nicarima, Anthony Milford on the other side of the field. We talked about when they were both at Brisbane being too similar in the style of play. They didn't complement each other. That, however, makes for a great matchup.
Most definitely.
Get both of them running at the line.
That try he scored last week was sublime. I like Nicarima. I think we've said that in our past podcasts. I look at this game and I just think, for me, at home, the Warriors have it.
Yep. The only thing I think that worries those that are Warriors fans, yet again, with the Origin selection happening this week, Payne Haas will be looking for an absolute whale of a game again to prove his worth. Pengai Jr. will feel his a go, and even you yourself said that Matt Lodge is in the running. So really, all the big boppers there from Brisbane are going to be looking for a massive game. I'm really interested again to see how James Seguiaro really lights a fire under this Broncos team. They were really energised last week when he came on.
Most definitely. And but so was Isaac Luke.
Yeah.
Isaac Luke found...
It's been almost at times when Nathaniel Roach has been injured, Isaac Luke's had a sniff to come back in the side, and he takes those opportunities.
This is flip a coin. This is absolute flip a coin.
If it wasn't in New Zealand...
if it was in Brisbane, you'd be picking Brisbane.
Look, I think Cody Nicarima's got a point to prove. I think his combination with Tuivasa-Sheck has been really, really good. The Broncos...
Ken Lamarlo's been playing well too.
Yes. Oh, yeah. The Broncos have not put enough good performances back to back for me to be confident in tipping them. I'm tipping the Warriors at home. Mm-hmm. Yep. So, we then move on to the final game on Saturday night at ANZ Stadium. We have the first place Rabbitohs taking on the 7th place Tigers. I actually feel with this one, it's a big game for the Tigers. Now, the reason I feel this is very big for the Tigers is just simply looking at the ladder. The Tigers are in a bit of a tussle there with a lot of other teams around them, including the Knights, the Eagles, the Sharks. The Warriors and Broncos aren't far behind them. One of those teams are going to win this week and move to 10 points.
They could conceivably, by the time they play South, be out of the 8.
So the Tigers are one of those teams where they get that job done last week against Melbourne, where many people thought they should have won that game. They're in 5th. They're in that spot where Manly is. And you heard how we were talking about Manly. Now they're on that edge of that 8. This is a big game that they'll feel as though they need to win. I think it's a huge game. In regards to team news, as you'd expect, no changes for South. They're looking for their 7th win in a row.
Mirovski comes in for the Tigers.
Yeah, Robert Jennings moves to the wing. Mahe Fanua out. Okay, so that's the main changes there. In this one, sorry, what was that? We've got still remembering for South, no Alex Johnston. Corey Allen will play fullback again. Hiroti on the wing. Ethan Lowe still playing in the centres. So really that 1, 2, 3 for South Sydney, they're still winning. But at the start of the year, when you put your team together, or a fully fit South Sydney team, those three players, Corey Allen would go to the wing, I'd imagine, but you wouldn't have Ethan Lowe in the centres. That would be completely different.
Out from injury or just no spot?
Mahe Fanua, I'd assume he's injured. I don't recall hearing about an injury, but would have to have a look at into that one for you.
Because I just think when you're playing one of the biggest forward packs in rugby league, surely he's someone that should be there.
Yeah. I agree. I think he's... I look, to be honest with you, until I saw the team and didn't see him in the list...
I saw it yesterday and I thought... When it all got announced, and I went... Yeah. Really? I just never... I didn't see him on the injury list. I haven't seen any injuries. I haven't seen him on the injury list.
No.
He just... I'm sure Tigers fans out there saying, what the hell are you on about?
Come on, guys. Come on.
I just think he is a big human being... And you need big human beings when you're playing South Sydney.
Yeah.
I just can't say. Look, South Sydney, their forward pack is rolling forward. Their halves are clicking. The combination that Cook has with Walker is working. Reynolds is running at the line. He's got the best short kicking game in the rugby league. The Tigers are going to have to show up phenomenally to beat South Sydney. I think South Sydney go 10 wins for the season. 10-1.
Yeah. Yeah, I think...
I just can't see... I think Corey Allen with a game under his belt is better for it. Hiroti's the same. They're going to try and bomb the daylights out of those two. They were a bit suspect last week. You know, when you think about, they're just new to the game.
Yep.
New to those positions. In saying that, geez, didn't Gagai get him on the front foot at times?
Yep. Yeah, he's really stood up. He's the only true centre that they've got in the side at the moment. So
Ethan Lowe was found wanting in defence.
He's not a centre.
But very good in attack.
Yeah.
I think everyone's going to be happy for another game under their belt, for one game under their belt last week. It would take a monumental effort for South Sydney to lose this.
Yeah, I think it'll be a massive game for the Tigers if they are to lose.
I've got South
Sydney. They've been in good form.
For the Tigers to win, but South Sydney for mine.
South will win. Tigers have been in fairly good form.
South Sydney.
They've been in really good form, actually, the Tigers. You can't set your watch to them just yet.
South Sydney by 20.
There's no reason for a team that's, as you said at the start of the podcast, have not lost a game in 80 minutes of football. It's just that golden point one. You can try and find reasons for them not to win it, but it'd be very difficult to do so. I don't think they'll win as comfortably as you do. I think it'll be close.
Okay.
And
I just can't see.
I think the Tigers will give them a run for their money, but they won't get the chocolates.
I just think you've got Adam Reynolds, Walker, Sutton. They're going to kick to the corners, and they're going to ask a lot of the back three.
A few of those blokes are looking for origin spots too.
Yep.
If that's not motivation, then I know what is. But yeah, South for both of us there. Moving on to Sunday, 2:00 we have the Bulldogs hosting the Storm at Belmore.
Storm next game.
Yeah, Storm will win. Look, Storm will win.
Look, I love it at Belmore. I really do.
I think that's what we should talk about here.
Kicking a ball onto the train lines. I say that Storm moving on. With no disrespect, I actually think the Bulldogs have a real opportunity here. The biggest problem with the Bulldogs is I just don't think they've got the fifth tackle options that's required to beat. They've got to get repeat set after repeat set.
They've lost a little bit of sting in their attack too with Ockenbaugh out with an injury. He's injured his foot. Christian Crichton's coming in. He's had some good games in the past. Used to play at Penrith and then went over to the Dogs. The Storm. Jerome Hughes is back, which pushes Ryan Pappenhausen back to the interchange bench. It's amazing that, and obviously they got
Sickening,
Welsh with that injury.
But
it's
just a great system.
We were talking about last week.
No Ockenball, no hope. Last week,
Storm will win.
Last week, the only reason the Dogs won was Ockenball got the ball rolling. His try, where he ran infield, he just has the electric footwork to spark it. The Storm have too much class. They've got too many good things. Statistically, the Storm are very, very good at exposing opposition weaknesses. When you're in opposition like the Bulldogs, you got thousands of them.
Yeah.
I can't see the Storm losing.
Nah, Storm. And actually, before I said if you got a margin, go with Parrot, go with the Storm this week. But remember the last time these two teams played? We were talking about how much the Storm was going to win by, and the Dogs almost got them. Anyway, next game we've got on Sunday, and a team looking to really bounce back will be the St George Illawarra Dragons. They take on the Sharks. Yeah.
They're ordinary against
them. I know, but I don't think anyone saw the Dragons getting done by 30. I know the Sharks were ordinary, but that loss to Newcastle really rocked the Dragons and their fans. Being 28-0 down at half time. I know the second half
imagine the banners they're going to paint this week.
Oh, mate. But anyway, look, that after that big game in Mudgee, Paul McGregor actually has made some changes.
He's wielded the axe, hasn't he?
Yeah, so Dufty and Ravalawa, is that how you're going to say it? I'll say it that way anyway.
Ravalawa.
They've been dropped. Lomax is getting a run at fullback. Ewan Aiken, which I think is a good move, coming back into the centres. And we've got Jonas Pearson making his debut on the wing. Reece Robson is going to get his first game of the year. He'll be on the bench. He plays hooker, I think, most of the time. Sims is back from a broken arm. The Sharks are unchanged from last week. However, we mentioned earlier on the week we're expecting Matt Moylan back anytime soon. Very interesting to note he's actually on the reserves list in this one. So it'll be very interesting to see how this one goes. I can't say I was really enthused with how either team played last week.
Who and why, Gray?
I'm leaning towards... If Moylan plays, I'm leaning towards the Sharks.
No, I've got the Sharks. I don't think you can make the wholesale changes that McGregor has and expect everything to go to gel.
Not in 7 days.
No. I think what he should have done was stuck with the side.
Yep.
And put a rocket up.
Stuck solid with the side and said, look, we had an off day, but we're capable of doing this.
Yeah.
There were
some forwards that didn't show up too for that side.
I understand that, but if you're those players that get dropped, I'm not feeling motivation. Nah. I'm feeling
I think he's
deflation.
He's clutching at straws. I look at the Sharks. The Sharks weren't great either. The opposite psychology for the Sharks is stay with the same team. Let's see what happens. I've got the Sharks.
I'm tipping the Sharks too. And I think also too, yet again, we talk about the Sharks. It's a big game for both teams. They won't want to be too far from the 8.
Whoever loses this
is starting to slide.
Is sliding.
Yeah. If the Dragons do, then
I'd say whoever loses
big week for the Dragons.
Considering something like the Dragons in
4 and 6, you don't want to be 4 and 7.
I'll tell you what. Dragons and Sharks in some people's 8s, they were in the top 4.
Oh yeah.
Whoever loses this can't finish top 4.
No. I don't think
it would take a monumental miracle.
Yeah, it'd be huge for them to come back from this one. Anyway, Sharks are that one. All right. I think that'll just about do us for this week. Thanks again for all your support and for listening. I'll tell you what we might do. We might put something on the Facebook page just asking you guys who you think you might want in your Origin team. Let us know if you agree or disagree with what we have done because there'll be a lot of speculation and there'll be some people who will be happy with the team announced, some people will be unhappy. I don't think this year we can say that it's set in stone. A few positions we can, but I think there might be a few surprises there from what we're hearing.
Yeah, for sure. And look, DWZ where he's going to go.
Was going to be Parramatta, but he was going to originally replace Gutherson.
Yeah. But. And to look, fans of sport here at Carpool Rugby League, condolences to Nicky Lauder. We love our Formula One. Passed away, horrendous accident, and coming back to win the championship. It's we always like to acknowledge those that have done well in their sport, and our condolences there. But with Rugby League, it's a big week ahead.
Indigenous round. Buy your team's Indigenous jersey.
I love the Indigenous jerseys. Yeah. I love the Indigenous round. As we said earlier, jump on board, get out, support your team this week, and have a great weekend.
Good luck.
Bye.
See ya.